I would like to call a meeting to order, please. Get everybody's attention. Let's get to move forward on our meeting. Today is December the 12th, and we're in Public Works Building for the regular council meeting. We're going to do the invocation. I'll ask you to stand, and we'll go ahead and do the invocation, and also the pledge of allegiance. Flag.
Father, we thank you for this day, for your blessing. Lord, we come to you with our hearts heavy. Lord, we'd ask that you just touch our mayor, Miller, our family. Lord, we ask you to be with us today. Lord, help us to love as you have us to love, and be there for our sister, our family. We ask you to continue to bless Mexico Beach, and Lord, we know that comes through our obedience and our following you. We thank you, Lord, for all your blessings, and we listen for your voice in Christ's name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Henry, could you take the roll, please?
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Welly?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton? Here. Mr. Smith?
Here.
And Mayor Miller is absent today.
The mayor comments are not going to be any comments, obviously, and I would just ask that as a city, that we come together and we pray this week and make sure to take time to do that. And when we're doing that, make sure that we're asking for those things like peace, healing, strength, and comfort, so they can get through this tragedy. Thank you. Council comments. I'll get started right at the table. Linda, if you had anything, you're good. Thanks.
I'm just like Miss Hampton. Me
As
too.
well. I guess I'm not. I have some things I want to bring up. This is real simple. I'll go ahead and hand this out to you guys. I should have brought one to make a copy, I guess, but
We all got it.
this is just on financials. I just made some notes, that's all it is. And really what I'm looking for is input from the council. To sit with maybe Chris individually and come up with something, but we're about 2.5 months into this year, and we haven't really looked at the finances. We've looked at them individually, I think, as we go into, I can only speak for myself, as we go into the city hall and ask for certain things and check things and stuff like that. But as far as a team at this table, we have not done that. And actually, it's been over 7 months since we looked at any financials, last year's and this year. So I'm suggesting as a council that we communicate better as a staff, that we communicate better to the staff and the citizens and the property owners of where we stand financially. And the way to do that is to have a monthly report. In this, I have a suggestion of the monthly report that has expenses, what the actual 23 budget is, the current month that we're going to talk about, if you're talking about it monthly, the year-to-date number, and then collectively what that is in a percentage. That's just a starting point. Just somewhere where we can take a couple pieces of paper, take a look in 30 days, know where we're at, and not be surprised. There's two other suggestions, and again, this is my suggestion as a council member. I'm handing it to the city manager. I would suggest the council at the table and the mayor, once you get back, take a look at it, come up with a decision, and see if we can direct Chris to get something that looks good to us, that we could deliver during a meeting. I would suggest that meeting be a 6 o'clock meeting, citizens meeting. We have better attendance on the 6 o'clock meeting. I'd also ask that we bring in our outside contractor, Carr and Riggs, one of the representatives, to walk us through the financial. And it's on a monthly basis. Any question, Cal?
Oh, I think that's a good idea.
All right. Your input's important, so make sure to get with Chris and add to it. Thank you. Again, move to citizens' comments and come to the podium. Just state your name, your address, and we'll start the clock on you in 3 minutes. Any comments?
Morning, Tim Linderman, St. Francis Street, Mexico Beach. I have two things. The first one is the speed limit on the 15th Street Bridge area. I know we're working on a pedestrian bridge, but the speed limit was reduced to 25 for safety. People are still walking and biking on that bridge. And I don't believe, having living close to that speed limit is being adhered to, or people are even aware of it. One suggestion might be to put a sign prior to the speed limit. The sign says reduce speed ahead. So I don't know if it's a matter of people not realizing it or just not adhering to the speed limit. I know that the sheriff's department can only be so many places to enforce things, but I think it's important that maybe we try and take some steps to slow the traffic down there. The second thing is e-bikes, electronic bikes, bikes that are powered by electric motors. I purchased one myself a few months ago. I hadn't realized how fast they go. And I hadn't realized the safety issues with, we're looking at probably, I would recommend the council and the city administrator start looking at this. I know talking with the lieutenant, the county's already looking at this. But we're gonna have people that can ride legally up to 28 miles per hour on the sidewalks in some of the streets. Some of these bikes apparently will go 40 miles an hour or higher. And there's a class 1, 2, and 3. There's some other issues. And the other thing that I noticed with this is a lot of kids are riding them now. And they go pretty fast. They're not wearing helmets or safety equipment. But I think maybe when we do the master planning, that this is something to be included in that discussion. Where do you want to allow these things or not allow them? Because it's going to be like golf carts. They're going to be a safety issue. I'm not asking you to take them off the sidewalk. I love riding mine around, but I think it's the future, one of the future issues we're going to have to live with. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments?
Lisa Logan, Maryland. This is just an overall comment that I would like to be in the record. After Saturday and Sunday's rain, which was just a moderate rainstorm, particularly we've had a whole lot worse, there was water in my neighborhood in places that I literally have never seen flooded in all my time here, even after low-level hurricanes. The flooding issue has gotten worse, not better, at least back in my neighborhood. And it seems to me that we're going backwards on our flooding issue, not forwards. We citizens have yet to see the overall master plan for how the stormwater is going to be handled. We do it in bits and pieces. I have yet to see how we're going to incorporate all of the elements to make it work. So as we begin preparations for a new year, I would very much like for all of us to be able to know what the total plan is, how digging ditches and putting down sod and repiping Florida and all of the other things go together, and how it's going to help the drainage, because so far it's not. There are things in the LDR requiring landscaping that have to do with drainage. Those aren't being enforced. How is that coming into it? Trees are a part of it, but not the whole plan. So going forward in 2024, let's please figure out how we can drain things, because my lot is literally underwater in a moderate rainstorm, and I'm tired of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your house was flooded too, kid.
I'm sorry.
Raise your hand if you didn't get flooded. Okay, that's what I thought.
He's on stilts.
Yeah. Any other citizen comments before we move on from there? Thank you. Good, move to the table and the consent agenda for dates to November the 14th and also the 20th. Have we reviewed them? Any questions?
Mr. Wolf, the 20th is a date that you've already approved those. That was an error.
Okay.
So it's just the 14th.
14th.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Can we take a roll, please?
Mr. Wolf,
Yes?
Mr. Welly,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. We have a scheduled appearance here from Ms. Shauna Woods from the Driftwood. If you want to come up to the podium, please. Looks like you're double teaming, so.
We're double teaming.
Support. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity to address the council. We'd like to express our condolences to Mayor Miller and her family. My name is Brandy Wood Jessen, and I, along with my sister Shauna Wood, are here on behalf of our parents, Tom and Peggy Wood of the Driftwood Inn. We are here with a plea that is close to our hearts, which is the rebuilding of the Driftwood Inn Chapel, a beloved landmark which was tragically lost to the hurricane in 2018. For decades, this small 8-pew chapel served as a beacon of faith in the community. Tourists and locals found solace in its open doors, hosting weddings, vow renewals, and baptisms within its walls. In addition, the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week availability offered a sanctuary for quiet reflection and prayer. The chapel wasn't just brick and mortar, it was the thread woven into the very fabric of Mexico Beach, a symbol of resilience and hope. Our proposal is straightforward. We seek to rebuild the chapel exactly as it stood before the hurricane, with the sole exception of adhering to the new height restrictions. Its location, nestled behind the Driftwood Inn, ensures it'll not obstruct beach views for neighbors. In fact, its return will enhance the charm and character of the area, reminding everyone of the spirit and charm that continues to bind us together. When we originally submitted our plans to rebuild the Driftwood Inn, we also included plans for the chapel, and the plans were approved. We began building the primary structure in January of 2020. Unfortunately, the immense cost of rebuilding the Driftwood Inn itself resulted in delays to the chapel. We've been open for 19 months now, and the question we're continually asked by the community and our returning guests is, when will you rebuild the chapel? As the city continues to rebound, so do our hopes for the Driftwood Inn. We believe the chapel will serve as an additional economic catalyst, generating revenue for local businesses as couples choose Mexico Beach for their ceremonies and guests patronize Mexico Beach vendors for food, flowers, wedding planning, and photography. The Driftwood Inn has always been more than just a business. It has been an extension of our family. Rebuilding the chapel wouldn't just be about brick and mortar. It would be about rebuilding lives, memories, and the soul of this community. Since 1975, the Driftwood Inn has been a huge supporter of the Mexico Beach City Council, the Events Committee, and the residents of Mexico Beach. Regardless of your decision today, we will continue to support in any way we can. However, today we are asking for your support to help us realize our dreams in building back the Driftwood Inn Chapel. We believe the decision you make will shape the future of Mexico Beach. We urge you to consider the chapel not as a burden, but as an opportunity to restore a cherished symbol of faith, community, and hope, and an opportunity to show our community and visitors that even in the face of adversity, the spirit of Mexico Beach remains unbroken. So in closing, our ask today is simply to allow us to rebuild the Driftwood Inn Chapel exactly as it stood for so many years. Our hope is that you will continue forward with the approval that was provided when we originally submitted our plans to build back. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. If you just stand up there for a little while, I'd like to go to the public and see if they have any statements or questions. Is it Driftwood Inn? Anybody? Okay, didn't come to the table. I guess my first, I mean, I read over all this and I've been here for a while and understand how important that is to the Driftwood and to the city. It was there before your original plans had it in. You built the hotel, that didn't get done, I understand that. The footprint is remaining the same.
Exactly. The only thing that is different is the height restriction, or the height that has to go up for the new plans.
And we did add a handicap ramp to the chapel.
Those were requested by permitting, they asked you to do that?
I'm not positive about that, but probably.
Do you know that,
No, the handicap rail may be something that's ADA required now, you know, since they're rebuilding it back or want to rebuild it back. But the height, I don't know how it differs. Does it differ from the original
It's
chapel?
exactly the same plans from before.
They're having to elevate the chapel 4 feet due to the floodplain. And so they're elevating that 4 feet, but it shouldn't count
It
against
takes
you.
it to 21 and a half foot
Yeah.
with the steeple.
what was the input from EPCI?
Well, EPCI is just going to contact the building. The reason why it got denied is because whenever it went to the planning collaborative to review it, it was discovered that hotels aren't allowed in general commercial districts. And so this is a non-conforming structure. And in a non-conforming structure, our LDC prohibits accessory buildings.
So you're telling me we're not in compliance with all 3 hotels that we have in Mexico Beach?
That's correct.
And so we're gonna hold this one accountable from building something they already had?
Correct.
Well, we had an ordinance that allowed us to build back what they had before, but it's since expired.
And that was dealing with the primary structure, not an accessory structure such as this one.
Okay, I'd like some input from the council. Thoughts?
So we don't allow accessory at all, or does it have a height restriction, the way it's written right now?
In a non-conforming structure, I see Carly.
So right now, because hotels are not listed as a principal use in the general commercial zoning district, they're not allowed to expand with additional structures. That includes accessory structures. Accessory structures are also limited to 12 feet right now. We have some proposals that were tabled at P&Z this month that will come back before P&Z in January.
So which is gonna lead to a stupid question maybe, but is a chapel allowed in commercial, general commercial zoning?
A church may, as a primary use.
Which would make the hotel a secondary. Which would be really messy, but I'm just thinking out loud, thinking out loud, thinking out loud.
Yeah, I wanted, Lance, if you can comment a little bit on that, maybe?
Lance Watson, Southeast Consulting Engineers. I actually did the design on this, and this development order, including the chapel, was approved through the rebuild ordinance, so it doesn't have to meet the previous, it don't have to be LDC conforming, and that's what was agreed upon and approved with the development order under the rebuild ordinance, and that was, the chapel was included in that. Through the development order on the rebuild ordinance, and also through a letter of no objection for DEP permitting from the city. And so at this point, it's more of just making the building meet the building code requirements, like the height that you're discussing, because the chapel location and existence on the site has already been approved under the rebuild ordinance by the council.
Thank you. Clint, is this something that we could grandfather in or something?
Well, I mean, they said that it was approved in the original thing. Is that
Right.
is the permit, is that expired? Is that still ongoing?
Oh, it's already built.
Yeah, our original builder decided not to build the chapel, so we did have to go with a new builder, a different builder, which is the reason,
But the approval included the chapel.
yes,
We were just told we needed to come back and,
apply for permits with the new builder.
Because you have a different builder, so the permit's void, and then you have to get it, okay.
All right. So, based on that, we have any other input from the table?
You know, it seems like that has been such a part of the community, and I think anything that would bring peace and worship to this area would be greatly needed and continued.
Support our businesses.
I agree with what was happening. It's been a, it's about like the chair, just, so,
I am too, but I wanna make sure we do it right. Do we need to go the variance process, or can we just make a motion? What is the right step?
I wouldn't go with the various process. I'd maybe consider just redoing the ordinance for this particular situation.
On that one.
Because everybody else is done. I think it's just done well. Isn't it?
Okay. Carly, you have anything? You all right? All right. Then let's go ahead and move forward with a motion, if we can get a motion from the table.
to do what? To what, yeah, tell me.
To go ahead and build it based on the prior footprint with the changes that they've asked for.
Based on the previous approval.
Correct.
Yeah, is that what you got to say? Clint?
Yes.
So I would make a motion to approve the chapel per the previous submitted permitted request.
I'll second it.
Tammy, take your roll, please. Vote, please.
Okay, Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mr. Welly,
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes. Me and Charlie. So married at the chapel?
All right. Thank you. Tommy, Employee of the Month?
Good morning, council. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna start this out by saying, you've heard the quote Forrest Gump made about life's like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get. Same way when you hire somebody. Jamie come to work with us about 3 months ago, and I wanna say this. He's the first person I've ever seen that's only been here 3 months that we gave Employee of the Month to, and he well deserves it. If you have been down to Canal Parkway anytime soon, you probably noticed how beautiful it looks. This guy single-handedly takes care of Canal Parkway. When he's not on Canal Parkway, he's hunting something else to do. He's helping assist park and recreation in different places. What an asset to the city. I can't say enough. I mean, this guy has just done a tremendous job. I'm proud to have him here at the city, and I asked him the other day, I said, how you like it? He said, I love it. First guy out of here in the morning, last guy in here in the afternoon when time to go home. Jamie, I have the pleasure of presenting you with Employee of the Month. To go along with that, probably the best part is a full day off. So you can use this whenever you like, any weekend. I can't sit here and say how much I appreciate the hard work that you put in, and it shows. When you go out and look at what you've done, it looks great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Now it's time to say something.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. I'm very honored, and I hope this continue on to be on to a very successful year, going into a new year, and I'm kind of ready for it. So I thank you. I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Council, if you don't mind while I'm up here, I wanted to just say about the holiday pickup. We have Christmas and New Year's coming up for the trash pickup, and that way everybody knows. The city will be closed the 25th and 26th, which is Monday and Tuesday, but we will pick trash up on Tuesday. So if you're on Monday's route, they're going to pick Monday's route up on Tuesday. Wednesday will be Tuesday's route, and then Thursday and Friday will be the regular route. That will repeat for New Year's Day. The city will be closed on Monday for New Year's Day, so we will pick up Tuesday through Friday, so.
And that'll be on the website, right?
Pardon?
That'll also be posted on the website?
Yes, it's posted on the website. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Tommy. All right, moving down the agenda, the next thing on the item is planning and zoning appointments for existing terms. There's two members that have asked to be reappointed and one alternate that's new. The two, you have resumes of Lee Elsie and Rob Kreis, and then Russell White for the alternate. We just need to see if we want to reappoint him and get a motion to do that.
Is Russell White here, ready to be introduced, since we know about
Into the back.
He is, he's in the back there.
Okay.
You got a question for him?
No, just wanted to know who he was.
Yeah, and they want to discuss their resume or anything, I think it was posted up there.
These have been online for about a month, right? Roughly? Looking for applications, is that how long?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking, this was posted, this was submitted on December the 5th.
And then we'll still have an alternate.
Right, we have one alternate position that's open that needs to be filled. Okay, we have any, open the public for public comments on P and Z and reinstatement of 2, and then one alternate. Come back to the table, any conversation? I personally have been happy with both Rock and Lee Elsie, the job that they're doing, and the input that they have on the council, or on that planning zone. Any other comments? If not, we'll move for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the current people that want to be back on the planning and zoning committee,
As well as Mr. Ray.
as well as Mr. Rock.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can you take a roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes?
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes. Moving on to Forgotten Coast Villas development order. Carly?
Good morning. Today we have a development order application for Forgotten Coast Villas, previously known as the Villas at Mexico Beach. The Forgotten Coast Villas is a proposed condominium development, including 7 new residential multifamily structures with a total of 39 residential units. In addition to parking, landscaping, and stormwater, this proposed development will include a pool clubhouse and a pool with additional parking for vehicles and golf carts. We have received this application along with engineering and floodplain and recommend approval. Condo docs and FDEP permits will be submitted to the city prior to approval. P&Z also recommended approval 5-0. Lance with the developer is here if y'all have any questions specifically about the development.
Okay, just sit tight off to the side here. We'll open it to the public, and I'm sure we'll have some. Go ahead and open it to the public to any questions on the Forgotten Coast Villa development order.
Lance Watson.
Yes, Lance, good, Lance.
Oh, sorry.
Wait just a couple seconds.
Okay.
Tim Linderman, St. Francis Street. So I watched the P&Z discuss this, and I was on the P&Z when this initially came up. And my question and concern is the height of this development is above what was the natural height, and I believe it's going to have an impact on the houses around it. When you put something, when you put a wall in this floodplain, it's going to affect, has the potential to affect anything around it. I know there's currently a ditch around that. My question is this going to cause flooding of the neighbors, or has some action been taken to mitigate that or prevent that?
Any others from the public? We're good. Lance, good, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Lance Watson, Southeastern Consulting Engineers. I think Carly pretty well covered everything, but I just wanted to make a few notes. One mentioned the wall, the retaining wall down the property lines, that was on the original design. And that, among some other things, have been updated based on city comment as well as public comment. One being there is no wall now because the site was lowered substantially, 2 to 3 feet lower to meet the compensatory treatment volume to not raise floodwaters. And that went through the floodplain administrator and was also approved through the city's floodplain administrator with the volume calculations on that. Another comment was to install a larger culvert pipe than we originally had. A culvert pipe the same size as the ones around it, 18, 24, however many inches it was. And the council and the public asked for a larger culvert pipe just in case there's future expansions on, adjacent to this development, so that was increased. There was a sidewalk added per the land development code that requested the city and the public. The building heights were, and although we were originally under the maximum building height, one of the big public comments was building height. So here we're allowed 48 feet, 48 foot maximum, and what's proposed is 31.8, so 15 feet or so below, 12 to 15 feet below the maximum. And the way that they achieved that to incorporate the public comment was rather than going on pilings, that the foundations are now on stem walls. So we lowered the height of the building. We were also asked to change the name from Villas at Mexico Beach because there's already a Villas of Mexico Beach. So the developer was on board with doing that as well to follow the public and city's request. The maximum impervious area on the lot is 90%. We're proposing 33.48%. The allowable density is 18 units per acre, which would be 112 units, and what's proposed is 39 units, which is just over a third of allowable. Like I said, it was approved by the planning and zoning. It was approved through the planning department within the city, and also through the floodplain administrator. If there's any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer.
We're at the table, so I guess I'll go ahead and start. I'd like to go ahead and back up a little bit. Number one, I see that, it's a 5-0 approval to move forward from the P&Z. I want to back up to how do we fix problems with water on that, with the current people that are living right next to it.
So
There's water all over their property. So I think in the end, we're probably gonna have that resolved. But what are we gonna do tomorrow to fix it so if it rains again, this doesn't happen? You can take these are emails that council people get, if you take these lines, that the council people get, and also pictures of people on that road.
So two things, so the immediate and the ending of the project. So the immediate solution for you guys is to approve as you approve the development order, to approve it contingent upon you guys working with the developer. Now they have an active development order in hand, and one of the conditions would be to go ahead and start shaping the ditches that are proposed. So we are proposing ditches which will help the neighboring property. So
are these concrete ditches or just?
They'll be dug. It'll be a swell. It'll be much better than what was there previous. The city actually came through at one point. I don't know exactly when, but at one point on this property to dig a ditch, because these houses to the west have always had flooding issues. So the city dug a ditch years ago on this property to help that, and it's not been maintained. Of course, it's on private property, but it was filled in. So that ditch is going to be open and improved on both sides to get the water from the water that's coming to this property from the neighbors to get it off. Now, that's not to say if the neighbor has a low spot and then it goes up before it gets to their property line into our ditch, we can't help that.
We're
But
talking about the water off
the water off of their property coming to this property will be routed to where it needs to go to get it off of their property, and that's on the plan. That's been designed. Definitely the final product will have that, but if you guys approve this with a condition to work with a developer and contractor to make sure to immediately go ahead and improve that, then that would be a way to get some relief now.
Okay, I'm not gonna let you off the question that I asked. The ditch, is it gonna be just a dirt ditch, you're just gonna drag a ditch?
They will be solid.
Okay, so it'll be
Solid and
like
maintained.
about
That's
15.
part of the,
Okay.
that's part of the condo association documents.
Okay.
The condominium association will have to maintain those ditches. It will be on our property, on the developer's property.
All right,
So that's part of their maintenance plan. They'll have to maintain that.
okay, good. Any other questions at the table?
You know, it sounds to me like there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I would like to table this issue and not vote any type of approval. There's too much contingency on this needs to be done, that needs to be done, and this is a major project to that road.
Well, that has
And I
already been
think-
done.
Yeah.
That's why we do the design.
Okay, but you're talking about a lot of things that need to be done to prevent the flooding. I'd like to see that done before we give any approval.
They
I'd like
they
to
don't have
table
any
the
approval
issue.
to do that.
Okay.
The only way to do that is at the development order. You can't do any site work without the development order.
Okay, but we could write in there that that's done, we can give the development order.
Right.
And that's the first thing that's done.
Absolutely.
If that's-
Jay Warren is a developer, I reckon that's still.
That's the contract.
I believe the city, and he's done it before the last time we had this problem, he come in there and dug the ditches. And them ditches run to the canal in the back of the property, on both sides, Wallace's side and.
Right. On the back side of the property. On the front side, it slopes more towards the roadside ditch, as you get towards the middle of the
And
property.
you ain't got to go very far, and there's a big ditch, canal ditch in the back of that property.
Yes, sir.
I really wish we would, and I agree with Ms. Hamilton, it needs to be done, but I believe a phone call, and I had the man's number, he would come and dig that ditch out to show these people that they're gonna do it. I believe that's what we're trying to say.
Absolutely. And there's a representative here from Jay Warren, and he's
thought I
more than willing to do that immediately.
Okay, would,
That's him right there. He'll dig a ditch for you and drain that place. I know he will.
Like Lance said, you can make the approval contingent upon.
yeah, I'd like to, Ms. Hamilton, would a timeline, like 30 days, 45 days be suitable?
Maybe 30 days.
All right, so, David McCullough representing J1. This has come up a couple times, actually. There was a slight swell originally on that property on the west side. It didn't work real well, so what we did was we came in and we actually graded from the last property owner on the left side all the way to the ditch. We got positive fall to the ditch. And on the Southern Pipes side of it, we actually put one there. There was never one there before. In order to relieve the water that was coming on there. So no water was actually coming from the property to anywhere else. But what it was causing is, if you look at the end of that road, the end of that road is way higher. That property on the end of the road to the ditch in the back will not allow the water to go through because it's 3 or 4 feet higher on that end property. So it does create a fishbowl down there. So with the ditch on the side, we can go ahead and open that up as soon as you get permission to go in there. We'll go ahead and open that ditch wider according to these plans, which is a lot wider, and go ahead and make sure it relieves it. But like Lance was saying, some of those property owners, the backyard is higher than the front yard. So we can only help with the water that builds up to go over their height in the backyard, because we've been down that road a few times with the transit, just checking. Some of their backyards are 7 or 8 inches higher at the fence than they are towards the house.
And I realize that, but taking a look at those pictures, I mean, it's pretty drastic.
Oh, yeah. I've been down there.
From somewhere. And you can see the water I went down there and looked at it, you can see the water trenches being
And any water that can get to the property line from the neighboring properties will get into the swell that we're adding in there.
And it'll
Any
flow
water
evenly
that has
to-
never made it to the property line, well, there's no way to get it there. But
Yeah, the road water that's standing in the roads, I mean, we can't do anything about that. We can do it when it gets over towards the property, we can, of course, we can get rid of it.
I'm a little confused, I'm gonna go back in. So you've already dug a ditch, but that ditch is overgrown, not working,
Well,
what
it-
happened that we need to do to get it?
it wasn't so, after they dug that ditch, the city wouldn't let them do anything else. Yeah, you remember Doug's dirt pile? Yeah, that's.
So the ditch was never finished, the one that's there?
ditch was
It's not,
never
it's not,
finished
it's not
and filled
completely
in.
degraded. All we did was to relieve water. That was just a quick, yes, y'all could go in there and dig a
No-
ditch to relieve
no
water,
DMP
but that was
measures
all
to
we
keep
were
it
allowed
from
to do.
filling in.
Okay.
We didn't come in there and shape it properly. We
I was
just-
confused that we talked about how we put a ditch on both sides, well, clearly that's not working, so that's why I was like.
No, it was just a temporary ditch. It's not perfect, it's not sloped correctly, and,
But
I mean,
then
it's, I mean, as far as the side swells and all, but as far as grade from one end to the other, it's close.
But the one
it's
you're
not
going to do, you're
correct.
gonna shoot grades, make it deeper, make it wider.
Exactly.
Got it.
And we're gonna do that as soon as possible. I think that's what
Hopefully
hopefully
30
we're gonna
days.
do. I mean, I like this happening.
You guys set the timeline on that.
Yeah,
You do
okay,
that,
so,
Dave?
Yes, sir.
You
We
can do
that.
I mean,
so, we're gonna go ahead and, make a vote here, and we're gonna see if we go forward or not. You guys need to communicate to the developer it needs to be done in the timeline that we said, and it
It's
needs to be
not a
done
problem.
right.
Well, it will be, because if not, you guys pull the development order. That's part of the.
I didn't wanna say that.
Say it like it is.
I like it, I like it, I like it.
I'm trying to tell you, it needs to be done in that
It's
timeline.
not done,
It will be.
automatically going.
He's fully on board to do what we need to do.
that piece of property, if people are familiar with it, in the back, they used to have a house and a swimming pool.
That's correct.
At the very bottom of that property, that's why it's in a bowl, and there was a pond about halfway on the backside of the walls. So that's going, you got to do the grade to shoot it to that back ditch that runs all the way around and comes out of the 8th Street.
That's correct. And it's the same thing as when me and you met on site.
You'll do what you say you do, I
Yes, sir.
guarantee.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No other questions, we're good, right?
Do we want any more citizen comments after they spoke?
Okay, I'm sorry. Question. If citizens comments, come on.
Bill Hamilton, 212 Highway 98. I'm just curious as to who your target market is. Is it going to be permanent residents or vacation homes for individuals, or investment properties where they could want to rent out weekly basis to vacationers?
Carly, do we know that target, or Lance, do we know
That's
that
the
target?
target market.
It's gonna be a little bit of both. They are gonna be individually sold.
Short-term rentals?
They're being individually sold, and the marketing they're shooting for is an older retiring.
So they're sold as residents?
They're sold as residents, not as Airbnbs or.
Just like
Or
every
would-
condo.
So, yeah, so it's gonna be up to the residents whether they.
Would there be an HOA to prevent short-term rentals, vacation rentals, like the apartments over here? Their minimum lease is, I believe, 7 months.
No, sir, that's not.
But if we have vacationers coming in and out, they do not maintain properties the way homeowners that live there do. I'm
Now,
concerned
there's an
about.
HOA, so they're in the condo documents, and Lance can speak more on this than I can, but in the HOA documents, we have to maintain the ditches, we have to, I mean, that's all part of every homeowner paying their HOA fees, is to maintain all.
Yeah, it won't be up to the homeowners of each unit, it'll be up to the condo association.
The condo association will set rental requirements and all that if they choose.
Right, and the city will have to review the condo documents before they're in place.
I would like to see though, extended, maybe 7-month minimum rent instead of a weekly. Of the vacationers coming in and out just don't fit our vision for the city, at least my vision.
We can put a note, Chris, we can put a note that when we do get that we can share it with the citizens.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we legally as a city can't do that.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
We can just share the
it's against state statute.
rules with them.
We can't limit rentals in districts in the city.
Okay.
Condo can, but the city can't.
We can still share it, and we'll share it when we get it. Yes, sir.
So I just want to.
All the way to the podium, please.
Tim Linderman, St. Francis Street. And Mr. Welly and his HOA management is familiar with this. We just went through this. So I'll clarify, and Clint, you may correct me if you know different, but I believe the current Florida state statutes for HOAs and condos passed this year, earlier this year, say that you cannot limit a rental, anything, I think it's less than 6 months. There are some provisions that you can limit to 3 times in a year, but the statutes have given more rights to short-term rental. So that's there whether we like it or not. And it's up to the condo association to limit Airbnb and such. I don't know if you could look at ordinances or in your zoning restricting Airbnb. I think that's something you could look at if you want to restrict how those rentals are used. But I don't think you can just make an ordinance that says it has to be rented a year just based on the current Florida statutes.
I agree with that. I do think developer control can set it before they're sold, but once they're sold, it can't be changed without membership vote and all that, so.
All right, anything else at the table?
Oh, no. Are we gonna, what we gonna do, I'd like to know what we're gonna say. I mean, we're gonna put in there, Ms. Halpin's 30 days?
And I think it needs to say it's revoked if it's not done.
Right.
Be good.
Where's David?
Which is part of the.
Can you do it in 30 days? Yes.
All right, well, let's get moved to the table before a motion. Approve it tonight. Restrictions.
Is it appropriate, is it a contingency on, or is it motion to approve the development order with the contingency that it be complete in 30 days? If not completed, the development order immediately is
A
revoked?
motion to approve the development order contingent upon reshaping the ditches within 30 days to alleviate current flooding. If not done within that 30-day time frame, the city will pull the development order.
So moved, how you said it.
I like it.
Excuse me. We're at the table right now, so really, public comments are not gonna, unless somebody wants to open.
He's a direct employee of us, so go ahead.
I'm sorry, you're a direct employee of?
Jay Moore.
Jay Warren, okay.
What the 30-day contingency is totally understood, is it needs to be, in my opinion, after all permitting is done, because there's still a DEP permit.
No, it's as of today.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Of course, we know that.
Okay, just want to make sure that it's real explicit that it's.
No, we know your number now. I know David.
You got it.
Okay, you're at,
One more question.
excuse me, just one, can I have one? If somebody would open up the, public,
Go ahead.
okay, come on up, sir.
One more question. Are the individual units gonna be metered separately on water and power, or do you have master meter for the water?
As per the city, when we met with the city, they're all individually metered.
Good. We got in trouble several years ago down the street.
And that's why they
With
just want to
sparse-
do it again. It's one master meter and all.
Units sparsely occupied, and they had some big bills.
All right, we are closed. The citizens' comments, we're at the table waiting for a motion.
So can I read that, Clint?
Yeah, that's probably.
You're not gonna be able to read my writing.
Just read.
So I make a motion to,
Motion to approve development order contingent upon reshaping the ditches within 30 days to alleviate current flooding.
That's
If not done within that 30-day time frame, the city can pull the development order.
that is my motion.
Looking for a second?
Second.
Have a second. Tammy, you wanna take the roll, please?
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes. You guys are under the gun. Get it done.
You want to take?
Moving on to Sugar Sands Farmdale Phase 2 Development Agreement. we asked we tasked the city administrator, the mayor, and Clint, our lawyer, city lawyer, to negotiate an agreement. This seems to be the agreement that came back, and we're looking for approval on it, the development agreement.
Well, I think I must say a couple things. We got this agreement, we really didn't have any back and forth. The mayor, this does not include two things that the mayor was really adamant about, and that is the 4,200 foot water line and annexing of the other property on Highway 98. And I just wanted to mention that was something that she would have brought up if she was here today.
Okay, but I would say number one on the piping, that's not valid anymore if they're gonna tap in prior to coming into the city, right?
Well, we have to approve for them to tie into our water line, but whenever they tapped into our water line for phase one, they put in a second tap already for phase two as it was developed. So the tap is existing, we just have to give them permission to tie into it.
So we do not need the 4,200 foot water line.
Correct. And Brent Faison, the developer, he's here also.
Oh, not yet, because I still want to clarify what the mayor was requiring here. So that was one of our requirements, that doesn't matter right now.
She was adamant about the fact that she wanted to have that 40, or at least have a discussion here in front of the board about the 4,200 foot water line and the possibility of annexing the property north of 98 prior in this agreement.
Like
And I'm just bringing that up.
Like a phase three or?
Well, they have other property across 98. She wanted to incorporate that into this. Other than that, I mean, it is, the property will be annexed. It's in number 14, I'd like to maybe add one just little caveat. It says, following Bay County's issuance of the certificate of occupancy for residential lots and the certificate of acceptance for the commercial lots. And I would like to add, and before any lots are sold, the developer will annex the lots into the city of Mexico Beach, just to clarify that.
I think we can get to that. Here's my thought process, just snapshot right now, is that we tasked the mayor, you, and city administrator to go get an agreement. My understanding, this is the agreement. From hearing it today, it's not the agreement that we wanted. Is that right?
That's not necessarily true, it's just, we got this agreement. I spoke to the mayor about it once, and we never came to consensus on what the agreement would be.
I have an issue with that, with her not being here, that's something that she was, I mean, we tasked her to go there. I'd like some input from the council. I mean, we tasked her to do that, and if that's what she wanted.
She wanted to at least bring it to the table and have you guys discuss it, that's those two issues.
Then, at this point, I would suggest we table this item then.
Chris, would you be?
I was there, yes.
Did we get an answer on it? Do you feel we got an answer on it?
Well, there's a difference of opinion. The mayor brought up, having the developer run the 4,200 linear feet of water line to tie into the city's water system on the south side of Highway 98. My opinion differed in that we don't have anything in writing that would require that. I mean, we gave the developer the permission to tie in their phase one to the existing water line, that runs from Bay County to us. And so, legally speaking, I don't know how we can say, okay, we let you tie in here, we let you put in this second tap for phase two, but now, we change our minds and we want you to run 4,200 linear feet of water line because it benefits the city at some point in the future. I mean, there's nothing legally that we can stand on there to force them to put in this 4,200 feet. Like I said, when we've already allowed them to tie into the existing water line and put a tap on there for phase two.
Well, my take on this from two guys who were at that meeting is that we don't have an agreement. I don't think we got solid on anything.
in the next, we're going into the holidays.
I don't know what's gonna get done in that time anyway, if we wait
There's
till
nothing to
January.
get done in that time frame. This is something that the mayor is passionate about. I think she should be at this table to discuss it.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd make a motion to table the Farmdale approval, development agreement to the January meeting.
I'll second it.
Take a roll, please.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
I think the next one's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You wanna go right away?
Yeah, well, there's some, the next thing on the agenda is the GCUC final pay request. I don't want to make these any longer than we have to make them, so I'll just say from my understanding is that we've asked them to pay us a sum of money. They haven't paid us, so why should we pay them? So I would suggest we table this also.
And I also believe that the mayor was very involved in discussion this last time, so I would make the motion to table the GCUC final pay request to the January meeting.
I'll second it.
Take a roll, please.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
I really didn't understand it all, but I'm gonna say yes, but I just, if we go, we need to pay it.
We need to get paid first. Yeah, vote, Jared?
You did already?
We're moving on to charter review, and that goes to our city attorney, Clint.
Yes, if you remember at the last meeting, we had, there was 7 things that we had put forward to the board for their consideration in terms of what the charter review committee's recommendations were. The council suggested that we eliminate one of them. That was, I think you remember, it was just simply deleting review. So we got rid of that one. So the only changes that have been made since the last time was we added some exemptions to the maximum building heights. And these building heights are just basically limited to what is currently in the city of Mexico Beach now. Nothing can be done, meaning the board can't go back and change that unless there's another referendum. Simply for the property that's located in the city now and the actual LDR rulings in terms of height restrictions that are in place at this time.
Can we get a little quiet in the audience, please? Thank you.
And we added some exceptions to that. Everything else is the same as it was the last time, except for the board really wanted us to pare down the city administrator in terms of duties and stuff like that, and we did that.
By a lot.
By quite a bit. Made it more generic, and left it a lot more in the hands of whoever the city council is at that time. What I would need was just for a generic vote for me to go forward and draft the specific 6 ordinances that would need to come in front of you at the first meeting in January. There'd still be some time to tweak things if you wanted to at that first reading, but we have to do it or we're not gonna make it.
Is it gonna go to referendum? Is there a need to go to the citizens today?
In terms, well, we had a workshop and nobody came.
That's right, yeah. But I mean,
I'm just thinking, I know this is another one that the mayor's passionate about, however, we have 2 votes, we just need the ordinances.
And
still
the
change
mayor
in
was,
January.
and the mayor did, at our last meeting, she did go over it and everything,
Yeah.
she was the one that proposed.
So this one I'm in favor of moving forward with because I know we're gonna discuss it 2 more times at a minimum, so.
Yeah, and you really need to give me the direction today to put this in ordinance form or for our first reading in the first meeting in January, or we're not gonna make it because we have to submit.
That's what we're gonna look for.
We have to submit this by February 1st to the supervisor of election office.
Okay.
So I would just need a vote for you to authorize me and direct me to put these in.
I wanna make sure that we don't need to go to for citizens comment on this first.
That's up to
I
you.
would, I don't know if anybody's read over or saw it.
Well, there's gonna be 2 public hearings when those ordinances are made
Yeah,
too,
so
so.
we can do them then.
True.
So we'll do that at the first reading. We'll look for.
And those ordinances will be attached to agenda, the citizens will have a chance to look at them and be able to put them.
And they are 6 separate ordinances?
Yes.
Okay.
So we got one, right? Because last time we met it was 7.
Correct.
Okay. So, for a motion to go ahead and move forward on this. Oh, I'm sorry.
In the last meeting, I had mentioned possible term limits, and I just mentioned that as one individual person. I did go back and review the last meeting that the Charter Review Committee had, and they brought that up, that that was just one person's opinion. So, I wondered if I need to make a motion to see if there's any other interest with the council to have the Charter Review Committee possibly review that as an option.
There's no time left for the Charter Review Committee to review anything. We're done. This is what they've recommended to this board.
They took you listened to the meeting?
I'm just wondering.
They did take that up. Do you want to get some comment from maybe one of the
Yeah,
members?
I would. Lisa,
One of
do
you
you
like
have
to comment on it? One of you three in the front?
Looking around for anybody.
Melson Miguelski, 100 Highway 98.
Thank you, Mel.
I guess when you sit in the front row, you kind of get
Picked
thrown
up.
to the wolves. No pun intended. We did discuss it at our last meeting. No one was against term limits, but what we came up with was the fact that due to the fact we have a number of other items to discuss and to keep down the ballot fatigue, that we take this up at a future change in our charter, not this particular one. We discussed whether it should be 3 terms, 4 terms of 2 years each. But in the end, we decided to, in the importance of trying to get the charter approved, it didn't rise to that level at this point.
That sound acceptable?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get move to the table and see if we can get a motion to go ahead and move this forward.
What was it, did you say?
Just a motion to direct the city attorney to put the 6 recommendations from the Charter Review Committee into ordinance form for the next meeting.
No. I'll make a motion to direct the city attorney to put the 6 recommendations from the Charter Review Committee into ordinance form to begin the approval process to get on our ballot.
I'll second it.
Can we take the roll, please?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Next thing on the agenda is the review resolution of 2017-07 establishing meeting procedures.
This is one that I feel is very important for the presiding officer to be present, and I would move to table this until the January meeting.
I'll second it.
Tammy, take a roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
And I just want to mention something on the next agenda. It's really just a discussion issue.
Yeah.
You're right, there's nothing to be to
Correct.
approve or deny at that next meeting. It's just, we're gonna review it. You guys are gonna tell me if you want to change it, if you want to leave it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
We just feel like it's a resolution that's we're gonna live with for a while, and the mayor should be part of it.
I just know.
No, I agree with
yeah,
that.
As the old clerk, I can tell you whenever there's a new mayor or council, it always got moved and changed around, so I think it's important that we have the discussion that everybody's here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just, the way, there's not gonna be anything to approve or deny at the next meeting. That's all I was saying.
Got it. Got it.
It's just a discussion.
All right, I hate to do this to you, but the next thing on the agenda is engineering firm RFQs. I have 3 of them who still are in need of 2 more. So this is an item that will have to be tabled also.
I would make the motion to table the engineering firm RFQs to the January meeting.
I'll second it.
Take a roll, please.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Welly?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. Sure need to get that.
Excuse me. We do, and the city should know that. We don't have an engineering firm right now. They left on the 4th, was it, city administrator?
Yes.
Right. But we don't have any projects that we need them right now.
There's some that we're waiting on, but it's nothing that can't wait.
beginning of the year? Okay,
Correct.
good deal. So we're not in any trouble.
No, sir.
Okay. Good deal. Next thing on the agenda is the $350,000 final payment for the ladder truck. I'd like, before we get into that, is have Mr. Sandy here. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
I was gonna try and get his
I
blood
didn't
pressure
think
up.
it, maybe he left.
I'm gonna try and get his blood pressure up, and try to table that one too, but I know this one has to be done today, so.
Yeah, Mr. Sandy, if you could, I'd like to talk to him a little bit about the truck and also the additional things for the truck.
Good. So basically, if you remember last meeting, I asked for the $40,000 deposit. We put that deposit on, and we were waiting then for certain certification to be completed on the truck. They did their 5-year ladder test and it passed all of that. It had its pump test done yesterday, it's passed that. I did a virtual walkthrough because I couldn't go up there and see it with the seller. I made a contact with the individual that actually sold it to the fire department to find out what their maintenance schedule had been, and they said that they do a very good job looking after their vehicles. I contacted one of the companies here in our local area that we would possibly have some work done on the truck. They looked through everything. They also talked to the maintenance people that have been doing work on the truck. Everything I have done has all been positive. So we are now at the stage where we basically say that we do want this truck. We've paid the deposit. The next stage is for them to basically ship it to us, so that it'll be put on a low loader, shipped down to us, and we would then have to pay up the final $350,000. So that's where we're at. I've also started the process of looking for the rest of the equipment. I had a long, extensive meeting yesterday with suppliers in regards to that, but that's a separate ask further down the road. The way this will work is, once we have paid the full amount for the truck, we can then put in for reimbursement from state funds, as this is part of a what's the word again? Appropriation. Thank you. Part of appropriation. So this is a short-term payment by the city for this truck, for which we will get the full reimbursement once I put in all the paperwork with the state.
So the full reimbursement is $500,000. We're taking $350 that we'll be paying this time, plus the $40.
Plus the 40. So the truck cost is $390,000, and we have $110,000 to spend on equipment and so forth.
Can you do that?
Yes. You can break it up in as many.
Can you do that?
Oh, can I do that?
Can you get it done?
I can't sign the check though, but I can certainly make it happen if there's an agreement that we do this.
Let's get it done before it has to go back to them. Spend the whole $500,000.
I mean, and we still have, once it gets here, if we find anything that we're not happy with, we still, or that they told us that it was this and we, it was A and we got B, we can still turn it down. So we're not at the point where we can't, turn down this purchase if the worst came to the worst. So we're still,
all right,
we're still covered.
Thank you. You just stand there for a minute, maybe see if the citizens have any comments. No? Yes, ma'am. Come on.
Howdy, y'all. I just wanted to ask Sandy.
Miss Lisa Logan.
Oh, sorry, Lisa Logan, Maryland. I just wanted to ask, once we get the truck, how long will it take the work to be completed and the truck will actually be in service?
That will, so the truck itself will be serviceable the moment we get it, other than the fact we'll be waiting for the supply of all the equipment that we're asking for.
Okay.
So once I have all the hoses and nozzles and so on and so forth, I would hope by the end of January, maybe middle of February at the latest, that we would be able to make a serviceable with what we will get and what we have already to hand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But we may not have absolutely everything on the shopping list. Some of these things are 90 days out and so on and so forth. But we have most of what we will need in existence on the engine or on the squad that we can put this into service.
Any other questions from the? Okay, we're getting close to the public and come to the table. Any questions from the table?
Got to have CDLs?
Pardon me?
You have to have CDLs?
No, sir. Fire departments are exempt from having to have CDLs to drive these vehicles. What we do need to do, and we've already done a significant amount of that, which is the ladder operations training part of it, is done by every member of the fire department. We will then just have to log out driving hours, which is done over a period of time to be sure that we're covered as far as that's concerned. That will just take time. So the moment it gets you, we will start driving it, even if it's not ready to be put in service. We will start driving it around the city so people get used to being behind the wheel, because it's 37 feet long. So it's not a small beast.
All right, we'll go ahead and, thank you. And, look
But
for-
two of my fire department do at CDLs, I should have said that, so we have people there that can train those if it's done.
Thank you.
I'll
Look
make
for
a
a motion.
I'll make a motion for the final payment of $350,000 to CFA for the 2009 Pierce ladder truck.
Second.
Can I take a roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Wellens?
Yes.
Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is Form 6. Mayor Miller's going to go over that. We're going to hold that. She has a presentation on that.
Do we do a formal motion or not? I don't know. Okay. Perfect.
Yes. Chris, on you. Department reports.
The, first for the Public Works, the big thing is that the Public Works Department put up all the Christmas decorations throughout town, had a great event there at the Christmas tree lighting ceremony. The golf cart parade went off without a hitch, and so big kudos to everybody who was involved with that. Public Works has been busy, dredging the canal. Obviously after the rain this past weekend, they've been out trying to clear out ditches, unstopped drains. People will begin seeing a lot of work going on at under the Palms Park. We've got the deposit and everything paid for them to come out and build the pole barn. That's going to be going up very soon as they get their building permits. And then the fitness equipment for under the park, under the Oaks Park has always been, under the Palms Park has already been ordered as well. And so that'll be going in. So there's going to be a lot of work under the Palms. In the utilities department, we had 6 new installs, 146 locates, 296 rereads, and then 18 call-outs. That's just some of the highlights. Obviously, there was a lot more going on in the utilities department, but the guys are out there again every day, working hard. In code enforcement, she's done a lot of work with the Public Works Department. We received a phone call from the Bay County Extension Director of an invasive species, a plant that was discovered here in Mexico Beach. And it's a very viney plant, and they're known to destroy sand dunes if we let them get out of control. And so right now she's been working with the Public Works Department in order to get that removed, and you have to be very delicate in removing them because they produce seeds, and if you try to remove them without cutting off the seeds first, or if the wind is blowing whenever you do that, then you can spread the seeds and actually make the problem worse. So that's been an ongoing issue. And then overgrown lots is a big issue here in town, or it has been, and since our last meeting, she has began working on 22 additional lots throughout town to try to get them mowed and better maintained.
How many have we already done?
I didn't bring the full list with me, I'm sorry. I can provide that information though.
I see there's quite a few that are done.
Yeah, that's just the 22 since the last meeting, and there was probably 40 or so before that for the year.
Great.
And I'll leave it at that. If anybody has any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Anything from the citizens on those areas, those departments? Tim?
Sorry. Tim Lunderman, St. Francis Street. I have a question. When Doug Baber was here, every month I think you briefed the status of projects, key projects. I'd like to see a return of that, and I'd like to see it posted on your website. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Just one minute. You may have that if you don't have a copy, I think we could probably get it. One of us might have it. Remember that
The
report?
onboard project list.
Yeah, okay. Yes, sir.
Bill Hamilton, 212, Howard 98. Code enforcement, I still see a lot of recall mower signs that are on right of ways. It should have been picked up a long time ago.
City Administrator, any comment on that?
If you let us know where they're located, we'll be happy to go out and get them. I mean, I don't get out of City Hall very much, but if you just let me know where the signs are.
I'll
we'll
give
take
you a
care of it.
list.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not hard to find out. If she was riding around doing her regular work, should have seen them.
Thank you.
It's about not relocate.
When you call 911, they ask you for an address. You call the city and you tell them there's some trash on the road, they're gonna wanna know where it's at. That's all we're asking. You wanna take Atkins or you wanna move on that report?
Well, Ryan is here for Atkins.
Hope everybody's doing all right. Couple of things just from my report out. I know last time I was here, I reported we were starting to try to move projects towards closeout. We've continued doing that. We got another project closed out, so up to 2 now, which is big news for us. I know 2 is a small number, but every time we close out a project, that's one less thing we all have to worry about. So that's good stuff. We also got another 2 projects into the closeout queue. So that means now they're in the review process with FEMA. And at some point down the road, I'll get to report those as closed out as well. So keeping on, moving on with those, which is good. In terms of recent payments, we just got a $600,000 payment pushing through on the stormwater project. So that's good. I think we're over $1 million now in payments on that. We're still trying to get a couple more of those recent payments approved. So that's positive. I know I've also been working with the state on some of our early Cat B projects, which are like the emergency protective measures, just trying to get those final reconciled. The city's already received a lot of payments on those, but we're still looking at probably, I think, in the range of like another 200, 300,000 to get paid out on that. When you get to the end of a project, a lot of times on the front end, you get a lot of the easy low-hanging fruit approved for payment, and then you kind of have to whittle down to the tougher stuff that maybe the documentation isn't all clear to the FDM folks. So hopefully we'll get those, a couple of those payments coming out before too long. The state seemed positive with our last response on that. The other thing that's cool that I know I've mentioned our 428 projects before and how we can share funding across those projects to offset if we have one that costs a little more and one that costs a little less. Those 428 projects, we can move the funding around. That's a new program for most folks across the country and in the state of Florida for sure. And we've been kind of the lead runners on that from the city of Mexico Beach. And we got our first approval on the sharing of those payments. And we haven't gotten the payment actually pushed out yet through the state, but they said, again, similar to what I was just saying with the Cat B projects, that they were like, this looks good, we just have to kind of process a couple things, cross those T's and dot those I's before we push out the first payment, which to me, the first payment in and of itself isn't a huge deal, but it really opens the door now for us to kind of move all those other funds around and get some payments out on that. And overall, that puts us to, in terms of those payments that we just got from the stormwater, we're over 93 million in paid out now, which is great news. Keep ticking that number up and making progress there. Unrelated on the to the public assistance projects, I know Tammy just let me know recently that you guys got invoiced for the bypass pumps. So now I think that project can start moving forward, which is good news. We've started to kind of try to pull together all of the reimbursement documentation on that, but have to kind of get all the way through on completing that before we can actually submit that reimbursement. But we're on top of that one, and it sounds like movement towards actually getting that carried out here pretty soon. That's all I have got. If you guys have any questions or anything.
How many projects are currently open in the city?
That have not been moved to closeout, you mean? So we probably got, let me do the math on that. If we got like 16 in closeout, we probably, I'd say we're probably at around like 28 to 30 that are open right now.
Wow. How we doing on a pier? Before somebody else asks, I'll ask.
Yeah, the pier's still, we haven't, I don't have much of an update on that, other than it's still under FEMA review at this point. We asked them a couple times recently, but we haven't gotten anything.
What level would you call that at FEMA? Is it environmental level, building
Yeah,
level?
it's a weird state because the environmental review had comments that we had to go back then to rescope it. So now as they're rescoping it, we're getting into discussions with the scoping group. So we kind of took a sidestep to get it to environmental, and now we're back to rescoping it, and the rescoping folks are reviewing basically what we've submitted, and it's unfortunate because when that sort of thing happens, you basically just have to get back in line at the CRC review queue. So,
How are we doing at going back at them and kind of nudging them and saying, hey?
yeah, we have every other week we have a meeting with them, and every one of those meetings I'm like, we gotta move. Do you guys need anything from us? I mean, that's how I always try to couch it with them. And I mean, Chris and I were on the last one, and they were like, we've got everything we need from you. There's nothing else that you guys can provide to us. We just have to do the reviews. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I keep asking, and you know, I don't have much power to enforce them to do anything other than to keep saying like, we really want this to keep moving. Like, can we give you anything else, kind of thing.
Any questions from the public? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Alex Hogan, yeah.
Alex, you might come on up, would you? I'm sorry.
Really just a question for you. Yes, sir. Alex Hogan, 7th Street. I'm a little confused on your comment about the stormwater projects and where we are on that. And then again, it seems to be contradictory what Lisa said, that we're not getting anywhere on our project. So, I mean, where do we?
That was just a personal opinion.
Well, it's not a personal opinion. Go right down the streets. And it's not a personal opinion. That's my opinion, and it may be a lot of other people's opinion. So I'm just kind of curious where it does seem like we do have a drainage problem. Now, I have seen improvements, but I mean, I don't quite understand. Who is responsible for our stormwater issue? Is it a FEMA project or is it a city project?
Part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to say, I think you're right.
That's just my question, just a little clarity on who is in charge of our stormwater issue.
Yeah.
I know they pay for it, but.
Well, and I would say it like this. Maybe the answer is it's a mix, right? Like FEMA is paying for repairs to the parts of the stormwater infrastructure that were damaged by the storm, but there were not damages to the entirety of the stormwater system. Okay. So there's another piece of it that FEMA's not going to give any money for, which maybe sort of what Lisa was getting at too, is that maybe there's a sort of like more holistic view of stormwater needs that are out there than just what FEMA's going to be paying.
And like I say, I personally have seen an improvement over, but where I live on 7th Street, it seemed to be flowing over.
Yeah, and I think
other places are not.
And to your point, there's been work done, obviously.
Yeah.
There have been repairs to the parts that were damaged by stormwater. I know there's some other things going on there with payments and all, but there's definitely been work done, and that's what we've been able to get reimbursed through our work.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing, Lisa brought up the stormwater master plan, and a couple of months ago, the city did award a contract to Alcon to come in and do a stormwater master plan for the city. It's $1 million contract, so it's going to be a substantial stormwater plan once it's done. But you know, they've not come out into the field and started doing anything yet. But that contract has been awarded.
Yeah, and to add to that, you know, that's our regional stormwater detention part. Again, you could also kind of view this as that's another piece of the puzzle in the holistic view of, you know, what stormwater is in the city. It's a big piece because obviously I think it could have a really large impact depending on how that gets designed and all. But that's another piece of funding that's coming from a different pot within FEMA. So we've got the pot that's, you know, here's what's been damaged by the storm. FEMA's saying, here, you guys can go repair those things that have been damaged by the storm. Now they're also saying, hey, you didn't have this stormwater detention. So we have a whole different program that we can give you money that will help, you know, sort of reduce future risk, mitigate, make you guys more resilient. that's another piece of it. And then there may be other pieces in the city that, you know, who knows? We haven't looked at it. There may be other pieces that you need to do something else on, but you know, I think there's certainly movement, to Chris's point, that like we're making progress in terms of we have ideas and we're trying to move them forward, and that design is gonna, I think, be a big piece of it going forward as well.
It's kind of hard to talk about stormwater when you just got done with major rain that hit you with 10 inches of rain in a number of days. So everything's flooded. I think, like Lisa said, and everybody believes it. I've seen water where I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So,
Understood, for sure.
any other, yes, ma'am.
Lisa Logan, Maryland. Chris, you just said that a couple of months ago, the city awarded $1 million contract for a stormwater master plan. Who got that contract?
AFCON.
AFCON. And so this is for a master plan?
Yes.
And when are they going to come in and have some sort of first idea that can be presented to the public so we can start maybe having some hope?
Whenever we met with them, with the contract being awarded, they plan on coming in once a month or once every other month, just depending on what the council and the citizens, you know, would like to see. That hasn't been established yet, but they are going to hold numerous public hearings and come to council meetings to keep everybody well informed of what's going on.
Now, is this a master plan for actual work out in the neighborhood, or is this that esoteric draining the canal into this and all that?
Well, it's all tied together. It's a combination of the two. It's stormwater drainage as well as the retention pond draining out into the canal, and they're incorporating parks, or the potential for parks with it, a multi-use path. I mean, a lot of things are going to be
All the
incorporated.
things that I talked to you about that, okay. For the council, please keep in mind with this plan, because I've already spoken to Chris about this a couple of times. This does need to be brought to the citizens, because what he and I were talking about, and he just mentioned, was the 80 acres over there. That plan does not sit well with a number of us as it was originally designed. So all of this needs to be brought to the public in presentations or workshops or whatever, so that we have an idea of where we're going, what y'all want to do on the streets, because it affects all of us, as you well know. And we need to keep abreast of this. Don't just come up with something and say, oh, we're going to start working on this, okay? So keep the citizens informed every step of the way.
That's why I came up.
Are they planners and doers, or just planners, we'll hire somebody else to do their plan?
Yeah, so this is that, I can jump in on that one. This is that phased project where AvCon's just gonna do the design. And then once we submit, like, we'll have to go through the whole process. I know that was something we talked about with them in the meeting, was having public meetings and that sort of thing so people can participate and all. But they'll eventually, and this is very high level, but at the end of their work, they'll say, here's our design plan. We have to go, for however much they think it's gonna cost. We have to take that plan back to FEMA and say, hey, we want to construct this. You've only awarded us money to do the design so far. So then FEMA will go through and they'll say, okay, yep, you guys can go do it. Here's the second tranche of money to go out and actually do the construction. And then that'll get bid out just like the city would do any of their other construction projects.
$1 million for the plan.
For the plan.
And no action.
And what? Well, they have to get a task order going. Yeah, I mean that's how the process goes. Yep.
Any other questions? Anything from the table?
Yes. What you said about the pier, what Rich asked you about the pier, who's in the meeting?
Which meeting?
The meeting you had with FEMA on the pier.
Oh,
we
don't have a meeting with them on the pier. We have a meeting with them bi-weekly on all of our projects. So, yeah, I sit on it, Chris sits on it.
The people, the citizens have asked me about the pier, which is a major in this town. And what you just said, to me, is really unacceptable. For 5 years now, we've been fighting this.
I believe we could come up with a little bit better than they're working on it. Or I would like to have why. I mean, we can't ask questions, and I know how FEMA is, please. The 5 years I've been here, I have 4 years, 3 years, when you say FEMA, it's a different ballgame.
Yep.
But for 5 years, and I know we got knocked back a step, you know, because the council really, you blame it on us, because we wanted to put the bathrooms, and they said no bathrooms. You got to put the bathrooms back where you were. So that was really your fault, you're on my butt. You should have told us we shouldn't have done that.
I'll take it. At this point, I'll take the tomatoes.
They're not gonna give us that money. But now we finally getting back to where we are, but are we going anywhere?
Yeah.
We are?
I think that it's making progress, but it is, all I guess I can say is, I understand your frustration because I feel the same frustration that when it goes into the FEMA black box, we don't get much out of them because they have a whole different engineering team that reviews that, and, you know,
Nobody that we know of that we can make this, at least give us an answer. I mean, the string done broke with me, hanging on by the string for the pier.
Yeah.
It seems like one of the problems here recently is FEMA almost does like the military, where they'll deploy people, and then after a certain amount of time, they'll rotate them out and bring in new people. And that's happened here recently, to where they've deployed, people away from Mexico Beach that have been working here and can push things forward. And they've got a new group of people in now who are basically having to get their feet wet and relearn where we're at and pick up where the last people left off. And so that's part of the problem, is just the way that FEMA operates.
I don't think that you don't understand the sense of urgency. You do. I know that.
I do. Yes.
I understand that.
Yep.
It's just, you're gonna hear it every time now.
Understood. And for what it's worth, I have said that to FEMA too, they've said, we're working on it, and I'm like, you guys aren't standing up there in front of council every 2 weeks having to hear it. So like, that's why I'm asking you about it, FEMA, because I hear about it all the time.
And I do agree with Chris. When I checked into it, that was the problem with people that left. And then we got these new people. But it's been 5 years, Brian. Come on, baby. Help us out. Tell me something I can tell these citizens.
Yeah, I hear you, and as soon as I get something out of them, I will. I don't like to be a person who's going to say things just to say them and not be true. So.
One of the things too, is in our last 2 meetings that we've had with FEMA and the state representatives, is that FEMA is actively pushing for this to be closed out as well. I mean, they understand it's been 5 years, and they want to close it out on their books just as much as we want to close it out and have a new pier and new jetties and a new fire department. So I mean, we're all trying to get to that goal. It's just, like I said, with them rotating people in and out, it's slowed the process down.
All right, anything else? Okay, thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Okay. Sheriff back there?
He's looking for something.
You got anything back there you need to update us on?
I provided everybody a copy of the stats and everything for the month of November. But I was gonna let everybody know and remind them about the 15th that's coming up Friday. It's a movie night down at the Under the Palms Park and everything. Starts at 6 o'clock, watching The Grinch. Gonna have hot dogs and popcorn and candy and drinks and everything. So bring you a blanket, bring you a chair, and maybe bring you an umbrella with all of our luck on the weekends here lately. But it's supposed to not rain till I think Saturday, so we're gonna try to make it happen on Friday.
Okay, good deal.
So
Thank
will
you,
you
sir.
be dressing up as the Grinch?
I am the Grinch right now.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Hogue, you had a question? Come on up. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. Sue Hogan for 25 7th Street. And I know how very important the pier is to everybody. I do have a husband. But I would like to have an update on toucans.
They came into City Hall maybe 3 weeks ago, and we're talking about getting their permits at that time. That we took their signs down off their property because we weren't for sure if they were going to start construction within 60 days. And whenever they came in 3 weeks ago, they said that they would be starting construction, so they went back out and put their signs back up. So as of 3 weeks ago, they said they would be starting within 60 days, and I don't know anything more to tell you.
3 weeks ago? Okay, so probably sometime in January, like that, something.
I would think so.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Fire department, anything, Sandy? I'm sorry.
I had one more thing on the Bay County Sheriff Office report. I'd like a little bit more detail about arrests and citations.
Okay.
If we could get that.
You want it now, or do you want it in the future?
Well, the
Okay.
3 arrests, Lieutenant Williams, can you tell us what those were about this month?
No, ma'am. They could either be criminal citations, or they could be warrant arrests, or they could be other stuff.
Okay. So, you know, as a citizen, you know, it'd be nice to know, or, you know, are we seeing an increase in breaking in homes or cars or, you know, DUIs? Or I'd just like to know more detail when we get that report.
I'll talk with the captain and see if we can't get some more details.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for safety reasons, that sounds good. Mr. Sandy?
There's nothing significant from the fire department. Obviously, we have our toy drive coming up this month, which we do on Christmas Day. We've had some very good feedback from members of the public in regards to that, and it's still ongoing. We are still in the process of checking every single hydrant in town for its functionality. We have found 1 or 2 issues. Some have been dealt with. We've actually had 11 hydrants completely replaced by a development in town that put in the wrong hydrants. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but they have replaced them all and they're all now functional. So that is ongoing. The guys are actually out today doing more. We will have a full report on the new 300 hydrants, or it's 250 hydrants that we have in town once it's completed. Other than that, it's basically business as usual.
Okay, good deal. Any questions from the audience?
Sure.
Any at the table? Good to move on. Mr. Chris?
3 things, council. One is the stormwater. We've talked about that several times tonight, but if you have stormwater issues at your house, we've gone out and looked around. Mr. Smith took me around, showed me where some of the problem areas were yesterday. If you have any issues, or if anybody watching this on Facebook have any issues at their house, please contact the city, because we're going to create a list and then just start going down the list and trying to resolve all these stormwater problems. The second thing is, I recently attended the meeting of the Special Events Committee, and they've decided that February 17th is going to be the date of their Gumbo Festival. This year they're going to move it back down to the boat route. So just want to get that word out now as soon as possible, so you can make plans on attending or plans on participating and making gumbo if you want to enter the competition. And then the last thing is, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope to see you all in 2024.
Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Clint?
Nothing, Mayor. Pro tem.
You're good.
Mayor, just one other thing I should have said. If you know of any new families in town that have young kids that I may not know about in regards to our visit to their house on Christmas morning, please make sure I know. You can either let us know at City Hall or make contact with me. We try to get to every kid on Christmas morning. No particular situation. We just like to go to them, spread a little bit of joy, have a bit of fun, and make a bit of noise. Like playing jingles on our PA systems. Yes,
Is that related to families that have their grandchildren visiting, things like that? Or you just wanting
if you have grandkids visiting with you, we were happy to come visit you if we have stuff. Absolutely. But yeah, just let us know who's coming. We do our best to try and just spread a bit of cheer. It's all funny.
Do you have a number of how many kids?
We're still working on the actual number. We have a reasonable number of toys upstairs. I've also been given some donations, monetary wise, to help if we feel we're short in any particular age group. And I have other people who have reached out, but in regards to make small donations.
Right. You don't know.
So at the moment, I don't know the exact number. Every year it does change, and I've come across at least 2 new families that I didn't know about so far. And I'm sure there are more. So if anybody knows anybody, please make sure, because if I don't know about them, I can't go visit them. I'm not Santa Claus. I don't have the magic book.
All right.
Just in case I need more.
Thank you. All right, our next and upcoming meeting will be January the 9th, and I believe that should be 2024, probably.
Oh, yeah.
But at 9 o'clock. I too wish you all your families Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Again, keep the Miller family in prayer, take your time and lift up a prayer to them. A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.